am Dr. Richard MUNANG, the UN Environment Programme Regional Climate Change Coordinator for Africa. Well, my job as the Regional Climate Change Coordinator is to help the UN Environment Programme with its climate change strategy in the African continent. And the climate change strategy of the UN Environment Programme is actually to help Africa develop in a way that it can be able to create development but without emitting, and at the same time help Africa adapt to the changing climate through actions that can build adaptive capacity as well as human capacity and institutional capacity. This is my third time in Côte d'Ivoire, so Côte d'Ivoire is like home because we were here in June 18 to launch the Ecosystem-Based Adaptation for Food Security Assembly in Côte d'Ivoire, whose national institution here is ANADE that is hosting it. So being here in Côte d'Ivoire represents, pretty much a profile of so many African countries in terms of climatic profile, in terms of agroecological zones. So what is happening here in Côte d'Ivoire pretty much will have ripple effects across the continent. In simple terms, low emission development strategy project is how to develop in such a way that opportunities are created for everyone. For example, about 65% of the population of Côte d'Ivoire is employed in the agricultural sector. They produce food. Sometimes the food gets spoiled because it cannot be processed or dried. It cannot be linked to the market because of lack of transportation. It cannot be connected to the market because of lack of linkages through technology, like mobile technology. Sometimes it gets spoiled because there is lack of financing to be able to do all these things. So what LET means is, if you look at the development vision of Côte d'Ivoire, like in many African countries, there are key sectors that are there. You have agriculture, which is very critical. You have energy, you have transportation, and other things. But if you look at these sectors, we call them catalytic sectors. You say the mother in the village who is doing farming, produces vegetables or tomatoes, or produces manioc. How can energy, renewable energy, solar energy, get to this mother so that she can process her manioc into ateke, still at the village level, then get access to a market to sell it, maybe in Abidjan or maybe in Yamoussoukro, without necessarily having to travel there, which then reduces emissions, because if it was to travel, there will be emissions added to the atmosphere. So what LET is trying to do in this project is to show practically on the ground how you can connect action, which is production, process using clean energy, transportation to the market using fuel-efficient vehicles. So this is what it's trying to do. The second part that it's trying to do is, it is not just about showing what works, it's also about coordinating people. And coordinating people is when you bring the biggest strength, which has been absent in Africa for over 60 years. Because bringing different stakeholders on board is very, very important. The private sector, very, very important. Civil societies, very, very important. Non-governmental organizations, very, very important. Individual citizens who, in their own, are doing things that sometimes no one recognizes. When you bring them to be part of the process, policymakers, collectively, an idea will be taken a step forward and not backwards. So bringing everyone together, like for example in this workshop today, is very, very important. And so LET brings people together, build on what everybody is doing, then fill the gaps and connect those who are doing things to those who may not know it, to learn from it, and those who are doing things that can be able to help others, connect them to those who don't know, is actually the centrality of this. excellent question. What we discussed this morning, we said no single project can be a standalone project. It will come and end, and that is it. Reports will be written, put on shelves. People will read it. Some will never read it. And then they say, oh, that project happened. What we want to change, it's a paradigm shift on how not only less projects should be done, every project in Africa needs to follow that for impact to happen. A project, first of all, should be anchored within the national development vision of the country. That is why the entry point should be government. Government drive the agenda. Government chart the vision. But when it comes through government, it doesn't stay in government. Different stakeholders need to be brought on board so that collectively they can add on what they are doing and build on that, but help fit it back to government national vision. However, for this to happen, you need to anchor it with existing projects in the country. We mentioned the short-lived climate pollutant project, which UNEP, in collaboration with partners, is supporting Côte d'Ivoire with. There is a Bafosa, which was launched by the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Agriculture. But the Ministry of Environment facilitated it, but it is sitting with another, which is excellent because then another have branches all across the country. It means that actions can be taken, which will then come back to help inform Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Industrialization, all those. So the overarching point here is that for everyone to be engaged, consultations must be done. Everyone must be brought on board on any project. And that is what Let is actually doing. It's actually a way to do so many things through one lens. And then when you anchor this within the framework that brings everybody together, that brings civil society, NGOs, youth, private sector, government, international organization, which is a Bafosa Côte d'Ivoire, anchored within another, then it provides an opportunity to people, to journalists, to individual citizens to be able to engage in a process that for quite a long time, sometimes you are invited only to write articles. But now you can be an actor in the process. So I am using this opportunity to invite every citizen of Côte d'Ivoire to register through the Ebafosa website, www.ebafosa.org. And through the Ebafosa website, they will be part of a process whereby they can engage with everybody and learn or also share their ideas and even build on what is happening. The project Let will be coordinated through the Ministry of Environment. There will be a task force set up building on the one that was presented today, which is chaired by the Prime Minister on INDCs of Côte d'Ivoire, so that it can coordinate to fit into the national development process of the country. Africa is a continent that doesn't lack ideas. Africa is a continent that doesn't lack innovation. But Africa lacks three things. Africa lacked an implementation platform. It's been absent for quite a very long time. Africa have the institutions, but because of a lack of an implementation platform, sometimes the institutions don't have that implementation platform. And the last is sometimes incentives are very important. Incentives are not just money. Incentives are appreciation. Incentives are bringing everyone on board so that his skill can be utilized and he can feel that he's part of the process. So Africa and Côte d'Ivoire should utilize the policy framework for the first time that was created at the highest level in collaboration with partners across the continent, anchoring within the African Union and coordinated through the UN Environment Program. Get everyone to be part of this platform because it's not just driving opportunities forward, it's engaging everyone so that everyone's idea, whether you're a farmer, whether you are someone who has not even gone to school, but you are contributing to national development, whether you are a taxi driver who is helping to transport food from a village to the city to help other people buy it and feed themselves, whether you are a bricklayer who is helping to construct a little house somewhere where agricultural produce could be stored, everyone have a role to play. And in playing that role, that is the only collective way we can address the challenges that Africa has. And then Africa will never experience a fear of want or need. And the slogan of Africa Rising will turn from Africa Rising to Africa is our home and we have prosperity. Thank you.